Hi, my name is Ahsan Kahlon. I'm co-owner of Hotaru Holdings, which is a F&B restaurant holding company here in the UAE. I co-founded it with my partner, Chef Reef Othman. We currently have 8 restaurants in Dubai, with a few more in Egypt and hopefully more to come soon. My background, I'm originally was born in Pakistan, grew up in England, and used to work in advertising, which took me to New York, London, Sydney, and eventually Abu Dhabi. And for the past 19 or so years, we've been residents of the UAE. And about 6 years ago, I took the decision to leave the world of advertising and follow my passions in the F&B space. And yeah, I guess that's a little bit more about me. We first moved to Dubai 19 years ago. And it was a really interesting time in my life. I just left advertising for the first time and gone to law school and done a conversion and was on my way to becoming a barrister. However, becoming a barrister in London at 30 was quite difficult. It was really hard to find pupillage at the time. But during that process, I was introduced to someone who was looking to hire for a family office here in Dubai, a place which I hadn't really considered living in London, but I thought that sounds like an interesting opportunity. It gives me a chance to combine my marketing and legal background and come and work out in a new exciting place. So we just got married and our first child was actually born here in Dubai. And it was very different to the Dubai that it is now. We lived out in Arabian ranches where there were just dusty roads and roundabouts, and people thought we were mad for living at the edge of the city, which clearly now is in the middle of the city. And it's been so amazing to see the growth of this city, the opportunities, the digital transformation. It used to be so slow and archaic, and now I would say it's at the absolute forefront of what life, transactions, business should be like. Going back to the UK now feels like it's been left behind a little bit. So we're very fortunate to have been here a long time. I've lived in Abu Dhabi as well. We now have 3 children, all of which were born here, all of which will want to return here to work, I think, after they finish university. And yeah, very grateful for all the opportunities we've had and hopefully continue to have in the future. Dubai is a fantastic city for all sorts of business opportunities, whether that be entrepreneurial or within your existing career path. And I'm quite lucky that I got to experience a bit of both. I used to run a international advertising agency here, which is fantastic, working with local and regional clients, very similar to working out of London or New York. However, here, you're working with clients who are experiencing real growth, which I think is a big difference. Yes, it's a competitive landscape and market, but there's so many key points of differentiation and opportunity for growth that industries like advertising and marketing are really fun to work in. However, I realized that wasn't the full journey for me. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to start my own business. I could see that there were so many great areas for growth in Dubai, especially, and I really spent a lot of time thinking about what that balance meant for me in terms of work life and my passions. And I realized that food and beverage was the way I wanted to go. I've always loved restaurants, I've always planned every holiday around restaurants. I love eating out. As a family, we're super passionate about it. It's what we bond over. And I thought, okay, if I'm gonna spend the next 20, 30 years working in something, it's something I want to be super passionate about. And I was very lucky to end up in restaurants. However, my first venture didn't quite work out. It was a great learning experience. It was an Indian street food brand. And even though it didn't quite work, it allowed me to meet lots of people in the industry. It allowed me to network. It allowed me to learn from my mistakes and eventually meet the right team and the right people to launch a successful F&B company. People often say that you learn most from your failures rather than from your successes. And for me personally, that's very true. As I mentioned earlier, we started with an Indian street food brand. I knew that I didn't know much about the restaurant business when I left advertising, so we worked with reputable food consultants here. But no matter who you surround yourself with, it's not a guarantee for success. And I think we were naive in the beginning, got lured into some glitzy projects, and location really is everything in Dubai especially. And we made some key mistakes, signed up for really long, expensive leases and had a lot of fit out costs that we had to bear. And it was just an all-round disaster. But it also represented an opportunity. It meant that I got to network, got to know the business, got to know the suppliers, and eventually met my partner, Reef Othman, at his restaurant that he was running at the time, Play, and he wanted to leave and start a new business. And we both got to chatting about everything that we thought was a possibility and how we would do things differently and where we saw growth in the market. And luckily our visions really aligned. And after that meeting at his restaurant, we started chatting and eventually turned my failing business of an Indian street food place in the same location into a thriving Japanese street food restaurant. And we're very lucky that was about 6 years ago. And we've managed to turn that into 8 restaurants in the city, where we have an award-winning Japanese restaurant called Reef Japanese Kushiyaki. We have an unconventional Korean restaurant called Holy Cow. We have a fine dining omakase restaurant called Terra, where we're currently filming. And we're launching a Japanese pizza-inspired restaurant called Kona. We have a ramen-only concept called Sio. We've grown to franchise in Egypt, where we have 2 restaurants currently operating, with 2 more to come. And so, yeah, from failure can come success, but we also temper that with other learning experiences. We've had a disaster trying to go into Saudi Arabia. We partnered with some people who didn't end up building our restaurant, which was a very frustrating 3 years. Even though everyone thinks it's a land of massive opportunity, which it is, it just shows you have to partner with the right people and get some lucky breaks as well. So And Dubai as well is becoming more and more competitive. I think there's more restaurants opening here than anywhere else in the world. I think we're second in the world behind New York in terms of restaurants per capita, which is insane. And those are challenges we have to continue to navigate and innovate and make sure that we're prepared for. So COVID was a really interesting time for us. We had just launched our first restaurant in Dar Wassel about 4.5 months before lockdown hit, and we had an incredible first 4.5 months. We were flying, we had lines out the door, and we thought, oh God, this is it. We've made it. And then COVID came, and lockdown came, and social distancing came. And initially, we weren't allowed any dine-in customers, and we had to pivot very quickly into doing delivery, which was never part of our business plan. We were a premium casual restaurant. Delivery didn't really fit with our positioning, but needs must. We had staff whose salary we needed to pay. There was rent that we needed to pay, even though our landlords were very supportive during that time. They put in rent delays and rent holidays, allowed to give us some time to come up with the money. But we managed to make it through. We managed to keep all our staff throughout that period. We didn't fire anyone, which led to tremendous loyalty. We're almost 5 or 6 years on from there, and I'd say 80% of the staff that we started with are still with us, which is great. And it also shows that you have to be flexible with your business strategies, with your plans, and react to the environment as best you can. I think the reason we're still in Dubai 19 years later is I still think this is the best place for growth. I think economic growth, social growth, personal growth, I don't think there's anywhere better in the world. I mean, I've been lucky enough to live all around the world, and nowhere offers the sense of safety and security, which I think in today's troubled world is absolutely paramount. I wouldn't want to bring my children up anywhere else. But that coupled with economic growth, expansion, business opportunities, which are really slowing in traditional Western markets. I talk to my friends in England or the US, and they have nowhere near the level of optimism for economic growth or opportunities that we have here. So I think it's really important to realize that growth is here, but then also to educate and equip yourself the best way to take advantage of that. And by that, I mean future-proof education, keep learning, get on top of trends like AI and social media and learn how to use them to your personal advantage. Network like crazy. Dubai's still very much a people-driven market about who you know. So really important to get out there and meet new people. And yeah, just keep on pushing forward in terms of the opportunities, because if you sit back, so many people are moving here to action that great idea that you have or that thought you have. Someone else is having it too, and they're going to fly over here, see it as a tax-free environment that's very safe for their families to come in, and they're going to be doing it. So yeah, my advice is believe in yourself, get out there and do it. Meet lots of people who can help you on your journey, because that's one other thing that I found in Dubai, that the community is so supportive. Like in whatever field you're in, people say, oh, you know what, I know someone there who can help you, or I can do that, without wanting something for themselves necessarily. So get out there, you'll be surprised. My name's Ahsan Kahlon, co-owner of Hotaru Holdings, a restaurant holding company here in Dubai. If you want to ever come chat, find me at one of our restaurants. You can look at Hotaru Holdings Instagram page, or visit me at Reef Japanese Kushiyaki or Holy Cow or some of our newer restaurants. Would love to see you and have a chat. Cheers.